Good morning, Service Alliance community. How y'all doing today? What's up, brother Doug?
Good morning, Zach. Why so chipper today? What's going on? You have some good news to share with everybody?
No. I'm barely coffee.
I wait for something to be under the pressure and just make something up, but no. All right, fair
Hanging
enough.
in there. Daylight savings time, jumping ahead an hour.
What happens in this time of year for your industry? Is it just a lot like, you know, how in the slow season for us, we might work on the things behind the scenes, improving process, stuff like that. What happens in your industry around now for you? Where do you put most of your energy?
This is spin up time. This is start getting the marketing out there. Meetings are taking place, you know, whether it's on the roof with an adjuster or in the office. We're going back to 90-minute meetings every week on Monday.
Because you got the time. It's not crazy.
Oh no, we do them all season long. That's what kills me.
Oh, gotcha.
I hate meetings that are pointless. I talked to the owner of the company. I'm like, if there's a purpose and it's structured and it moves somewhere, cool. I'm all in. But if we're wasting 90 minutes a week, I don't know if I can invest 90 minutes of time that I could be out generating sales.
Wow, this is a whole grind talk, my friend. You gotta be on the pulse. You have to have the pulse, the same page meeting. Maybe not 90 minutes, but pretty important.
Yeah, so they're implementing EOS like you guys are.
Oh, okay.
And he was shocked that I knew what that was. I'm like, we literally talk about this crap week in and week out, right? Like this is what we discuss all the time. So I don't hate meetings, but they have to have a purpose. They have to move the needle. And they really do have to be structured. Otherwise, you send it in an email. You're just wasting everyone's time, right?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
That's not today's topic, though.
No.
But it is an entire topic we could talk about. So today we're talking the key to profitability. Kind of taking the conversation from last week and knowing your numbers and understanding your costs. We're furthering that profitability conversation into this week and truly like understanding what these costs are and how they interact with your profitability, right? So
well, I will open us in prayer and then we'll get right into it.
Let's do it.
Good morning, Lord. We thank you for another wonderful Monday. We thank you here in the Northeast that it's getting lighter out. Lord, I lift up Gary and Adam to you. These are some guys that we see every single Monday. Lord, I just pray that their day be blessed, that their customers see something special, and that in everything that they do, it helps make the customer's day better, Lord. Lord, we ask for your guidance and direction in our personal lives, in our thoughts, in our families, in our country, and around the world, Lord. We pray that you will help us focus on eternal life and what it means to live forever and ever and ever with you. And Lord, may all our decisions this morning, today, the littlest of decisions, have a reflection of the eternal perspective. And Lord God, give us the strength to be your light. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. So
this cold I had, it's like a whole week of a cold and then a whole week of recovery. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I
You
was down
you had it for a week or two, right?
almost 3, like, and I'm still kinda getting over it a little bit. It it had me to the point that my brain was just
Mm.
fogged out.
Yeah, yeah, that's how it was for me.
Yeah.
I can't believe I caught it through the screen. It's these viruses are out of control, man. It's unbelievable.
Ugh. So Andrew asked a great question last week, and I don't know if it was on Monday when it was you and I, or if it was on Thursday with Shayna and I. But he goes, "What's profit?"
Mm,
And really, what is profit? It's dependent on how you are structuring your tracking, right? So if you're following profit first, then it's a line item accounted for. It is a percentage of your total revenue is just allocated to profit. Um, Profit can also be what's left after all the bills are paid.
mm,
Really depends on how you structured your business.
mhm,
Um, but I think that's an important thing. Like, what's revenue? What's profit? You have to clearly define that
mhm.
within your own business. How have you guys defined profit within your business?
Well, I mean, setting a goal for a net profit margin is step one, which then kind of forces you to have to look at your budget, look at your expenses, and determine how much more has to be added to each ticket to get
Yeah.
that number, right? But it is interesting, right? Like, uh, you've got a situation and you're in a large field and you can circle around it and you can see things from different perspectives. So if you're eyeing the profit that you want in your business and you begin to pace and walk around, there's different ways of doing this and they should all be done at the same time, right? Like, where's your waste?
Mm-hmm.
Where is your improper uh, pricing? You know, if you're undercharging shipping,
Mm-hmm.
and not getting that back, did you know you're giving customers incredible discounts? So there's focusing on efficiency and then there's focusing on new income at the same time. And you really should be doing both. But sometimes I get tripped up because I'm focused on one and not letting that other one happen at the same time.
So you're more line item profit, right? Like you look at the sheet with the accountant,
Oh,
bookkeeper, and whatever says it's profit is profit, and you have a target that you're
it's only been a few years, Zach. I mean, you can live and survive and thrive a little bit for sure by just doing the best you can with
yeah.
your head down. I mean, so I'm not broke here in my personal life. We have a house, we owe a lot of money on it. So I'm not rich by any means, but I made a lot of money. But it's interesting running a business and deciding not to wait till the end of the year and pay all the last minute bills and taxes and, underpaid insurance premium or whatever happens. And then when it's all said and done, look at the bank account and go, wow, I thought it was going to be more than that. I mean, that's how I lived my personal life. It is a game changer to know and try to get what you're attempting to grow. Know your numbers really well.
Yeah. And so for me, and for Service Alliance Group, we run Service Alliance Group on the profit first method, and
Mhm.
and we follow that to a T. Um, which allows us to do things like donate. When guys have the GoFundMe's, they got hurt in a car accident or whatever. Like we've been able to donate because we run the business in a profit first model.
Are you saying that comes out of that profit margin that you aimed, or you're actually
We have a
budgeting
we have
for
a profit first line item for charity
for
every
help
year.
helping? Yeah,
Mhm.
love that.
It's important for us to give back to the community, and so that is
Love it.
a budget item, right?
Elevating the industry. You're there to try to come alongside people, and I love that. That's beautiful.
So, and then my personal business, I do it the same way. I track profit on um, the profit first mentality, right?
Mhm.
So now we kind of understand what profitability and revenue are. Fixed versus variable costs.
Mm.
Are you tracking, number one? We kind of talked about that last week. Are you actually making sure you're getting this stuff on a spreadsheet in, you know, QuickBooks or whatever, right? Do you understand the difference in fixed costs and variable costs, and what fixed costs become variable costs?
Mm.
Because that does happen. Comcast is great for that.
What do you mean?
They stay fixed for a certain amount of time, but if you don't pay attention, that Comcast bill is shooting up.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, but it's not up and down.
No, no, no,
Like
no, no.
like
Like
fuel.
fuel. Fuel is
Fuel
always
cost,
a variable.
it is. I mean, you can almost look at it and average it out and know. You have to do something crazy with your business to see it spike or go up or down. But there's so many variables, right? The gas
Mhm.
prices could go up and things like that. What are variable costs in the roofing world?
Really, it's fuel.
Materials, right?
They'll stay pretty fixed at least.
But
Um,
I'm thinking like on every job, when you quote that job, there
yeah,
are
when you quote the job,
things that
because
variable.
it's by the job, it's going to
Yep.
be up or down, but the overall cost of goods, so the cost of caulk, the cost of shingles, the cost of nails, typically will run 3 to 6 months. Every once in a while, we get something a little sooner, but a lot of the times it's by the quarter they adjust that pricing
Yeah.
up. I can't think of a time it's gone down, right? So in the appliance world, that's parts, right? Those
Mhm.
parts prices, those are more variable because those do tend to go up and down. I've seen gas valve coils, all of a sudden they shoot up and then they come crashing down and they go shooting up and they come crashing down. Those are a lot more variable than some of the other things. What else is variable in the appliance world?
I feel like our tech labor, right? We're billing that out hourly to the
Mhm,
company, so that's a variable cost. It starts to get busy if you're paying them overtime. All
mhm,
that stuff's going to fluctuate and change that line item in your P&L. So yeah, for sure, materials and billable labor, I think,
mhm.
is more or less
The
fixed cost.
main
I mean, variable costs, right?
main variable costs, yeah.
Yeah. It,
Um,
what did you say earlier? I was going to say something. You said something pretty cool. But anyway, it's Monday. I'll keep going. But yeah. Pricing of a job.
yeah.
Whether you're a blue book person or not, I feel like every single job you go on, it takes 1.5 seconds to find out how much that part is retailing for on March 10th,
Mhm,
2025 from the vendor you're buying it from. Like I've got a couple techs that just love to use Sears Parts Direct. We've got all this software that helps them look up parts and check availability. We have multiple ways to do that. And they're still just Googling it and clicking on Sears. The part number changes, the price turns to a new part number, a new kit. It's $100 more, and we lost money right there.
mhm.
$50 off on a price, you probably don't have profit in that job anymore. So Sears Parts Direct, I've got something for you.
It's good if you're hunting down a Kenmore product, but that's about it.
Right, right, right. No, you just have to follow through. So I hope that people don't have the lucky number in their head for a particular common repair, because those part prices are hopping like crazy all the time. Yeah,
And are we tracking our fixed costs, right? Because that does matter. Are you pricing your insurance every year?
right, right.
I had a hard time with that I'm one of those people that's pretty loyal.
Mm.
I'm questioning my insurance even now,
Mm.
right? Um, Insurance is only going up. The price of
Right.
insurance is only going up. Now, something can be said for loyalty to a company, but that only goes so far. When the delta between switching to a new company that has the same coverages and what you're currently getting is greater, then it's probably time to switch. I'm looking at my vehicle insurance and I'm looking at the cost for two vehicles with perfect driving records on both of us. And the price that we're paying per year, the math ain't mathin',
Right.
right? So it's about time to start shopping around for insurance. And I've been with my insurance company since I was 18 years old. It's a hard switch, but in business, it is a necessary thing, right? If there comes a point where that delta is great, the point is you should be shopping around. You should at least know what the other companies are charging for insurance
Mhm.
on a like for like policy to know, hey, maybe I'm getting ripped off, right? Insurance in business is expensive. And, you know, I mean, when I was running 5 trucks, I was paying 25,000 a year in
Mhm.
insurance. It's a lot of money.
Oh, it can add up for sure. I
Yeah.
think it's hard to do all this stuff by yourself.
Oh,
So
sure.
you have to come up with systems and mechanisms to make sure that you have a pulse on reality as best you can. Right back to
Mhm.
the part pricing. If you're pricing every single job, and all of a sudden that Samsung heater job is $60 more, you're recognizing that the part went up. You have a chance at that moment to decide, is there something I can do differently? Do I
Mhm.
start looking for another parts vendor? Do I go to some high quality generics?
Mhm.
You begin to talk about it. Same thing with your insurance person. Our insurance person, we probably speak 10 to 12 times a year. And most of the time, they're calling me,
Mhm.
right? Or I've triggered it. I've emailed and said we had a floor damage claim,
Mhm.
or my tech was in an accident. It wasn't his fault. Um, next steps, please. And
Mhm.
then she gets involved and she makes sure that things don't fall through the cracks. So when it comes to renewal time, which is another month or so up, I mean, probably this month, she'll be emailing me going, let's talk about how the year went. Was there any growth? You've got 3 new vans. Let's talk, right? When I hire somebody, um, I have her do all the driver's license, background checks, and she'll tell me put that person on a separate policy or put them on our policy, or you probably shouldn't hire that person. So for me, the rates are always going to go up. Obviously, if the rates ever went up like 20,
Extreme.
30%, then I would probably have to go and shop.
Mhm.
But if I can save 5%, I probably wouldn't leave our insurance agent because she's become an important internal partner to the business. She's watching and I'm watching. So now we're doing it together. But for sure, you should shop it. And for sure, you need an insurance person that isn't going to just renew you automatically, send you an email and say, here's your new policy. I'd get rid of that insurance person pronto.
Yeah. Do you have an accounts manager for your internet? Do you have a business account manager for your internet
We
and your
do, but I
phone?
don't ever talk to them. It is a cost that I wonder. I mean, listen, I also, oh man, for many, many years, Zach, I used to geek out on Google AdWords and
Yeah.
focusing on cancellation rates and how many days, out we're booked. And, what's this Google money I'm spending that we're losing because we can't get to the customer? But when you start really looking at your P&L and you realize that if that's like a 2% or 1% of your entire budget and the total cost is 50,000 of 1%, I mean, it's good to be thorough, but that's farther down on my list that I'm going to focus on and try to make sure we're efficient. Where is your biggest expense? Where's your biggest increase on your P&L? That expense, I think, is one that you should begin to shop around, but try to give the right attention and time to each one. So, and we use both. We have like the DSL lines and we have two separate companies just in case one goes down. But good point bringing it up. We're mostly remote now, so I wonder if it's even worth having, two different internet services. But you've experienced yours just hiking up, and what do? You just do like the Chicago thing and threaten them, and then they like lower the price for you?
There's an entire department. Their sole job is to retain you as a customer. If you call in and go, listen, this price went up and it went up ridiculously, I'm out. I'm going to go to your competitor. They'll put you into the retention department, and all of a sudden your price is going to come down again. It's just a stupid game that they want to play all the time. The largest one in our area being Xfinity. And it's a game that they play, and they literally have an entire retention department. Like that's their sole job, is to go, oh yeah, we raised your pricing, here, let us lower your pricing so we look like the hero. Sure. It's a game. You just have to learn how to play it. The church just went through it. The bill doubled for the church. So that's why I say it's something worth, if you're running a business, having an accounts manager that calls you and says, hey dude, your bill's about to go up. We should probably have a discussion and, renegotiate this contract for you to save you.
Yeah. That's a 5-figure budget for sure. So
yeah, it's a quick conversation usually. And that leads to the next point. Are you tracking this stuff? Are you putting it in a P&L in your QuickBooks? Are you paying attention? Do you have a bookkeeper that's paying attention to it? The only reason we noticed at the church is because we have a bookkeeper at the church who's in-house, and she goes, whoa.
Yeah.
This bill is not right. I know what I've been paying, and all of a sudden it's double. What are we doing here? Right. And so are you working with a professional, whether it's an in-house bookkeeper who's done books for a long time, or an outside vendor that is paying attention to your profit and loss, to your books, and helping you kind of navigate? Their job is to highlight what's important. So are you tracking the stuff so someone can point, hey, we got a line item here that's really increasing your costs. How do we get that down? Do you have someone paying attention to that? I think you do, right? You're working with
every month we meet with the bookkeeper, and every quarter we'll just kind of do a percentage analysis, change, because that's how fast things can happen. Not much, but some things, for sure. Again, part usage is one that my service managers have to stay on top of the technicians to make sure they're charging the right price, for sure.
And KPIs, you love KPIs. So that's a fast way to assess if line items are getting out of control or if they're rolling as expected, right? So you have to build these KPIs into your financial health to keep a rein on cost. Because if you're trying to look at, like, let's think of a typical business, you have a couple hundred line items between each employee, vehicles, insurance, everything else, right? There's a lot of line items to pay attention to. And so creating those KPIs to have a pulse on where your costs and where your profitability is, it's pretty critical, because it's going to give you that fast overview and allow you to make quicker decisions for your business to stay profitable, right?
We just met with them last week, sort of an in-between monthly meeting, because the plan is, and I'm a little late to this game, but the plan this year was to hire 7 new technicians. So what is the costs of bringing people on? I've been to ASTI's And it's amazing what I hear. Like, what does it take to train a new tech? It's huge numbers, like a couple thousand to $1 million. It's just amazing, and I believe whatever, if that's what they think it is. So I'm super excited to find out what it really costs us. And we've already tracked it from last year. And so, yeah, 7 tech. So we're thinking about how many weeks potentially are they making zero revenue for us? When is it that we expect them to be on the road to generate enough revenue to cover their cost? Since we're trying to grow and we're not trying to replace existing technicians, the way I look at it is if we have a van or we buy a van and it's never run for us before, then once they're paying for themselves and all their expenses, I consider that break even. And as they get better and they start to generate revenue, then it starts to affect the income line. So we're forecasting what it's going to cost. And she just sent me the numbers Friday. So I'm going to look through basically this program that takes your P&L and projects into all your line items the costs that it takes for a project, whether it's hiring somebody or hiring some office staff. It's going to affect all the lines, which will then show you what your net profit change turns out to be.
So 2 questions. Answer how you want, because I don't know how in depth you can go. How much did it cost you to hire new technicians last year? And what were the KPIs that you used to be able to truly understand that number for going forward? And if you can't answer one, I understand, but just try and help us get a handle on that.
I look forward to having that number and sharing it, at least from our perspective. And it's going to be, again, I feel like a lot less speculation and feeling, because it's so cool to know the number. But but right now, what we're doing is we're looking through payroll costs of bringing somebody on and how that's going to affect the payroll line, uniforms, tools, training wage, fuel on the van we give them a van right away. Even on that depreciation line of using the vans. So it's everything you can think of, from the littlest to the most, a new tablet, a new phone. And so those are fixed costs that are pretty much the same. So in the next week or so, we're hoping to onboard 3 new techs. And so that means in March and April, we're going to take a hit on the expense line because we just bought 3 phones and 3 tablets. Even our Microsoft account, we have to add, whatever that is, $10.99 a month, whatever it is for that software subscription. Same thing, adding a technician or CSR into our CRM, is sometimes, we hit a ceiling and we charge, we have to pay for it. Every little cost, Zach, and I will certainly share with you it, because I have a hard time not sharing things when I find out about it, because it is pretty fascinating.
Well, yeah, and especially like the things that you're tracking to get to that number, because I'm going to share this now. This is a very common number that I've heard at the conferences.
60,000?
50 to 60,000 is an extremely common number that I've heard at the conferences. It's that window of like 60 to 100,000. Almost every conference I've been to, you hear guys saying this is what it costs to onboard a new employee. So I'm really curious, with someone who's actually tracking all the data and all those key points, understanding what it truly costs to onboard an employee.
Well, what are the numbers? Their training rate, right? That'd be a number. So $20 an hour times 40. So that's $800 a week. For me, the technician has to be on the road doing low-hanging fruit, like 8 weeks, 10 weeks tops. We're not expecting them to be great, and we don't want them to be terrible with our customer. We're going to give them things that begin to help. Then they become part of the two-man crew. If there's a two-man job, we're charging the customer that added cost. We're billing them for it. This person will fall under it. Riding along with an experienced technician, he orders a start switch on a GE dryer. You know what? That is the coolest job to give that technician on a return trip. So here's 3 low-hanging part installs, and then meet up with your experienced tech. And that way revenue is being generated. And guess what? If the tech starts to call and panic and freak out in their software, their paperwork is terrible, or they're having panic attacks or anxiety or customer red flags, you'll catch it a lot sooner than investing in somebody for months and months and then putting them out there. And we've kind of covered the gamut, like 6 to 8 months before we put them out there and 6 to 8 weeks before we put them out there. And you want to know something funny, Zach? I can't remember, maybe 1 or 2 out of a dozen. All of them said, I felt like you put me out there too soon.
Yeah.
No matter where it is, because they're just going to see stuff that they've never seen before and be nervous and be worried and feel like they're not going to be able to look great in front of the customer. It's happening no matter what. So
you have experienced techs that sometimes don't feel like they look great in front of a customer. If it's a new item or a more complicated manufacturer that, they make a change in a product line and you see it for the first time. So everyone's going to feel ill prepared.
So even, like, let's just say $20 an hour. I can't always get a trainee for 20, but I also know that it's amazing how much cheaper the world is, when you drive 5 hours south of New England.
Yeah.
I'm thinking even 3 months, that's 10 grand in salary, Zach. What else we got to add to it? All right, there you go. So that's 10 grand, Andrew, in salary. And then payroll costs, let's go over the top a little bit. 8%. It's probably not that, but that's another, let's round it up, 800. So now we're talking about, let's round even higher, 11. Now you're up $11,000. How are we getting to 60?
Well, because a lot of people count buying that new van and putting the racks in and putting the parts in and putting this in. And
yeah, but everything that we do, it's a role. It's not a person. Like, I have a technician
I'm not saying it's right.
I'm just saying I have a technician, Zach, that is retiring or wants to come off the road. Okay. He's 64. I don't know if he's going to be great at being technical support, ride along, second. Like, I've created a position, not for him, but a position that I think will help benefit our business. And I'm going to give this longtime employee a shot at it. And if it doesn't work out, I care about him so much, but I'm not going to make a custom role for a person. And if they can't do it, then I start to minimize what they can do. And all of a sudden I'm paying maybe more than I wanted to for something I'm not getting. So everything has to be a role. If you're hiring a tech, that means that you believe your area can generate more revenue. Then go buy a van, but it's not for this guy. I mean, there's no way. So it's interesting how you do that.
Andrew says, I think we count the losers to make the average. For every 3, you get 1.
Well, there is that. You have to figure that out. Absolutely. 3 to 1. I'll take that, actually, to be honest with you. Last year we let a guy go just in like 6 weeks and I was incredibly proud because, number one, we were aware that his training and he was struggling. And number two, we talked with him as soon as possible. And I let him know, if you can't overcome this anxiousness and nervousness about these things, if you please screw up, please make a mistake, but don't get nervous about it. Don't beat yourself up. Don't get in your own head. had a couple of those conversations, and the poor guy couldn't get it. He just couldn't do it, and we let him go. And that was a good thing for him and us.
After you hire these next guys on, I want to do an entire podcast just like going through your KPIs, how you came
Sure,
to the
sure,
KPIs, how you track
yeah,
the KPIs, and what that like onboarding, training, getting them into the field process looks like. Because I, from my own experience, and from conversations that I've heard, I feel like so many of us overcomplicate it. And if we were just to track things a little more simply, um, and be in tune, like you were just sharing, like be
yeah.
in tune, have your pulse on that training and not kind of disconnected from it.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like training and onboarding technicians could be a much smoother process. I want to do a whole separate podcast,
Sure,
not a morning grind, but a whole separate just
yeah,
because it's something that I think is so important to the community. And it's something that I know I struggled with. And I know I struggled because I overcomplicated the process.
right,
I put my mind too far into it and I couldn't see the tree through the forest, right?
yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, I definitely want to, after you get them onboarded, we're going to have to spend about an hour and just
Yeah, I think
go
so. And,
through
and and
that.
we had a decent return on last year. So last year was 7 hires, and we still have 5. And so, and there's a lot of great success in there, and there's a lot of average in there. And
Yeah.
we did lose a couple people. So that'd be a lot of fun, Zach,
Yeah.
because knowing your numbers and having great KPIs are key. I mean, do we have this awesome training facility in the building with appliances and gas line? We do not. And
And
I guarantee that we're not sitting there going, it's good enough. So, but we're going to always invest in improving the process. But certainly bottlenecks are terrible, and you want it in your training process as well. So you've got to have those milestone moments
mhm,
where you can see that they can do what you're asking them to do. They can't show up to work
mhm.
first couple weeks on time. I'll tell you right now,
It's a
just
red flag.
give them a nice little side hug
Mhm.
and buy them breakfast and let them go. It just never works out.
Yeah,
So
see, I know Andrew's not alone in this. That's why I think that podcast is going to be so
yeah,
necessary.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, so one of the other things that I wanted to quickly cover, because if you haven't figured it out yet, Doug and I tend to take the broad brushstroke on whatever the theme is for the week, and we loosely hit all of the possible topics throughout the week. Um, Negotiating with your suppliers.
Mhm.
Are you doing that? Are you spread across 8 different suppliers, or are you really focused in on 1 or 2 suppliers? I know our buddy Saul is watching, and good old Marcone, right? But how are you getting the best possible pricing?
Mhm.
And that means a lot of different things. We've heard Saul say it on the podcast as well as in the comments. Do you want free shipping? Do you want better pricing? Do you want, how do you want to split the pie? Right. One piece of advice I was always given is don't put all your eggs in one basket. And I still stand by that. But I also don't think you should spread that amongst every single supplier that's out there. I think you really need to focus in on 1, 2, 3, have your top 3 choices that you kind of shift it between, but you focus mainly on one, because you still have to be able to fall back if they don't have the part, if their price went crazy, whatever. When the
Yeah.
10942 boards for the GE were common, we had a really great price at one vendor, and then all of a sudden it tripled. And we went to another vendor. We're right back at that first price. So, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you do need to concentrate more on one vendor, but keep your eyes open. Don't keep those blinders. on. How do you deal with that? I know you have a little bit different school of thought.
Oh yeah. No one ever likes the landlord or the potential first landlord that calls you and books an appointment, and they go, "Got 94 units, man. You treat me right, and I'm gonna bring you a lot of money." And it's like, okay, buddy, I just charged you 10% extra for being an a-hole. So I do not want to do that. I feel like if you're buying a lot of parts and you're not talking with your parts vendor rep, just talking, forget asking for stuff.
Mhm.
You're not checking in once or twice a month, then you don't really have a relationship. You're just I feel like you're just a Amazon shopper. That's all you are. And if you're just shopping for price, then that means all you care about is price.
Mhm.
So when I'm talking with my rep, he goes, "Did you know that this online training and this in-person training is happening soon? And
Mhm.
by the way, this one I know is kind of far for you. I got a little budget. If you want to send 2 or 3 guys, we'll cover their hotel expenses." All that happens because you're having ongoing conversations. And Stahl's not even my guy, but Stahl will check in as well. Now,
Yeah.
Marco, not my number one either, but it's I'm going to be fiercely loyal and expect and demand a lot in return, but I'll never complain about Whirlpool raising their prices. Guess what?
Right.
That's happening to everybody. It's happening to all the brands. It's what's the other stuff that you need, right?
Dave Smith from the Chicago region, from Marcone, he would do the same thing for me. He would call, "Hey, we got that training coming up in Bolingbrook, the Chicago Marcone training. You
Mhm.
guys coming? You want me to get you registered for that?
Mhm.
Um, are you doing the online trainings?" So all that stuff is very important in that supplier negotiation. I do like what Andrew said. One with two backups. That was my way of doing it. I had my main supplier and then I had the two backups. Now, I'm lucky enough to have 9 different parts houses that I can run to in a
Whatever.
60-minute radius. And so Sunberg was if I need it today and I can get to it in less than an hour, I'm going to get the part and finish that customer's job today. If one of the Sunberg locations had it, then they were my go-to. Otherwise, Marcone was my main supplier for OEM. I did use Union for aftermarket, like the truck stock coils and fuses and igniters, things like that I needed on a regular for the trucks. I use Union for that because the pricing was great. So
That's crazy to have 9 options, Zach. I mean, here's the deal. Sometimes you have a vendor rep that's exceptional and
mhm.
they read your mind, or it looks like they're reading your mind, but really what they do is they know what it takes to be an appliance business owner.
Uh-huh.
And they're trying to solve your problems. They're asking you, what are your pain points? What are your bottlenecks? What's your biggest challenges? And then they go back and talk with the team to find out how they can do something specific and special for you. So if I lived in your area and Sunberg actually had physical locations, but it wasn't great. They didn't have thousands of parts. I'd probably be go back to your team and find out, is there some way, something you can do? Can we have on loan 500 of the fastest moving parts in my building? Can we do something? What can you do for me? And I guarantee most vendor people like Saul, will think outside the box. And if you don't have one of those people, then typically I try not to buy from those companies at all, because if they're not putting great people in front of you, then that means all they care about is money. They
I,
just want your money for you to buy their part. I do get this one guy that's very aggressive. I did get a Wayne Gretzky silver trading card in a plastic case. He's dying for our business. I'm impressed and I appreciate what it is, but it's not about price for us.
Right.
It's about returns. It's about shipping labels that are free or discounted. It's about what's going on with this customer that we've ordered the part multiple times. Is there some way someone could go and physically open a box? And this is something that was common nature in the past. You would call a branch and go, we've ordered 2 of these fan motors with brackets and they're broken both times, or Bosch dishwasher wash motors cracked. It's like, could you check it before you ship it? Our customer's upset. I remember Marcone made a rule. They said, we can't do that anymore. And I understand why. Too many requests. It bottlenecks their flow. I get it, but to be able to have that specialized help goes a long, long way.
Now, I had one manager that I worked with. He is at the Joliet branch, and on occasion watches the podcast. But he took care of me.
Yes.
Because he knew what I was going to do. So if he didn't have it in one of his locations, he would look at the other locations. He would figure out who had it, and if I could have it, if they would have it in their hand and at the counter for me to walk in and walk out. And he would make the phone call. He would say, can you put your hand on this part? The system says 1. I need you to go on the back, put your hand on the part, tell me it's there, put it on the counter, and he's coming to pick it up.
Yeah.
And that was a relationship based on if he had questions, if he had a customer, another servicer in the area that came in and was like, I've never seen this before. I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
I would answer his questions. It was a mutual relationship there. Right. And it wasn't based on pricing. It was convenience. My goal, much like yours, was to take care of my customers as fast as I possibly could.
Yeah.
I got them in. Can I get them fixed today so that I can go and take care of more customers tomorrow?
That's right.
Right.
You got to be in relationships with these expense lines. And that I don't do a lot of warranty, but because I think warranty is an expense, to be honest with you. It costs us money to be in warranty, but to not talk to, if I'm a Miele guy, I'm a Decor guy, a Bosch person, Fisher Paykel. If we're not talking to those manufacturers and getting the benefits of getting underpaid to do their work, then what's the point in doing warranty work? So it's staying in touch and on the phone, training, free tools, coming to our building and willing to do a training session for our guys. None of that happens if you're not talking to them and they don't know how passionate you are about getting the most out of every vendor and expense line. And I don't know how it works in third party, if you can actually have a rep in some of these kind of companies, but for sure you'd want to build those relationships.
So the biggest takeaway from today, and obviously last week, because this is kind of continuing that conversation, track everything. Get a system to have quick bullet points that you can understand where your costs and your profitability are coming in. And stay in contact with your vendors, your bookkeeper, the people that are helping you understand the coming and goings of money within your business. Stay in touch with them. Have a plan to have regular communication throughout on both sides of the coin, right? And make sure you're tracking, because numbers don't lie. Doug and I both love numbers. We love those KPIs. We love those P&L statements, because numbers don't lie. They give you a pulse of which direction your business is heading. So make sure you're tracking it. Then you can appropriately price your service. Last week's conversation, price your service so that you stay profitable and stay in business for a long time,
Yeah. It's not about price all the time. It's not about money.
Nope.
It's about the total value. That's what we tell our customers when they question why we charge the amount we charge after 20 minutes in the home. We have to share them with the value. Same thing goes with all your expense lines. Know the value that they bring, and then look at the price that they're charging. And from there, you can use your intuition to say, I bet you I could get it lower somewhere else, but I don't want to give up what I have. Or, man, they were great. They used to take care of us. Now I feel like we're just a number. I think it's time. It's not personal. It's time to shop on and move on and see if there's something better out there.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, that's what we have. The conversation on understanding your costs will continue throughout the rest of the week. Oh, so I'm not even going to justify those comments.
We're such good friends. He's even quoting my wife's name. You know, Sal, I'm going to have to, let's do a lunch date, you, me, and my wife, huh?
So this week, Mastermind Digital Marketing Budget Masterclass. Mike is going to help you understand those numbers that go into your digital marketing and how to set that budget appropriately instead of just throwing cash wherever you feel like it. If you're not an all access member, servicealliancegroup.com. Masterminds are free to all access members. Saturday, it's going to be a great time. Saturday morning, digital marketing budget masterclass.
Yeah, that sounds exciting.
I mean, you know, a lot of people.
It's for a lot of people. It's for me. I love somebody smarter than me to handle that. But that's on my birthday, actually. Digital marketing budget.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're on March birthday too.
Yep, 41. It's amazing.
Turned 40 at the just 10 days after you.
Are you really? How old
I'm
are you?
dead serious. I turned 40 10 days after you.
You know you're old when you like take 10 years off just to try to be funny and it's still old, right? What the fuck?
Yeah. Oh,
right.
We had conversation at church yesterday, and one of the guys goes, "Yeah, I'm almost 30," and I went, "I'm just gonna go eat my hat now."
Yeah, and you know that feeling.
Oh boy!
Shit, no wonder I like Saul.
Yeah.
Right,
hey, our buddy Rob Jones. Him and I are birthday buddies.
Really?
Same date. Just a decade or so apart. All right, guys.
Bye, guys.
We'll catch you next time on the grind.